Hello everyone, welcome to DevWave Diaries. If you're passionate about tech and eager to learn, you've come to the right place. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to create this amazing scroll animated website, adding a dynamic touch to your web projects. Let's dive in. After watching this video, you'll learn how to add scroll animations to your website, how to set an element to a fixed position for a specific scroll range, and you'll also gain a solid understanding of some key JavaScript and GSAP animation concepts. First of all, in this HTML file, I've already added the GSAP CDN along with the ScrollTrigger plugin. Don't worry, I'll include all the CDN links in the description below, so you can easily access and use them in your own project. Next, create a div with the class name page1. Inside this div, add a nav tag, and within that, create an anchor tag. Now, inside the anchor tag, add a div with the ID logo. Inside this logo div, insert an image tag and set its src attribute to the logo image. I'll be sharing all of these images in the video description. After that, create an h3 tag and write the text hyperbolic inside it. After that, create a div with the class name navigation. Inside this, add another div with the class name links. Within the links div, create 4 anchor tags and label them one by one as about, docs, blog, and careers. Then, still inside the navigation div, add a button element and write launch app inside it. Next, let's create a div with the class name container. Inside it, add 2 more divs, one with the class name left and the other with the class name right. Now, inside the left div, create another div with the class name bgvideo. Within this bgvideo div, add a video tag and set its src attribute to the background video file. Don't forget to add the autoplay attribute to the video tag so it starts playing automatically. After that, let's create another div with the class name bgimage. Inside it, add an image tag and set its src attribute to the wireframe image. But before moving on to the next section, let's comment out this image tag for now, so we can style the page properly. We'll uncomment it later once the layout is ready. Now, inside the right div, create a div with the class name hide. Inside it, add an h1 tag and write any heading you like. After that, just like before, create another hide div and place a second h1 tag inside it. Then, create one more hide div. After that, again create a div with class name hide, then add a paragraph tag inside it. You can write any text here, or simply use some lorem ipsum to generate placeholder paragraph content. Next, let's create a div with the class name box1. Inside it, add a div with the class name content. Inside this content div, create an h4 tag and write any heading you like. Then, add a paragraph tag below it and write any paragraph text. Once that's done, duplicate the entire content div 2 more times by pressing Alt plus Shift plus the down arrow key. After duplicating, update the headings and paragraph texts in the next 2 content blocks to make them unique. Now, as you can see, I've updated all the h4 and paragraph tag content. You can either use lorem ipsum for placeholder text or manually type your own content, whichever suits your project best. After that, create an h2 tag and write the text I'm about to provide, or feel free to use some lorem ipsum as a placeholder. Then, add 2 h5 tags, one for a short heading and the other for a longer heading. Finally, create a paragraph tag and either generate some lorem ipsum text or write the paragraph I'm writing. Next, let's create a div with the class name box1. Inside it, add a div with the class name content. Within this content div, create an h4 tag and write the word researchers. Now, duplicate this content div 2 more times using Alt plus Shift plus the down arrow key. After duplicating, update the h4 text in each of them to display different headings. After that, create an h2 tag and write any heading of your choice, or you can simply copy the one I'm providing. Next, add a paragraph tag and write a paragraph, or use some lorem ipsum as placeholder text. Finally, create a button with the ID about, and inside it, write About Us. And lastly, create a div with the class name page2. That's all the HTML code we need for this website. Now, let's move on to the CSS portion to start styling the page. Now, in the CSS file, you'll see I've already added the Google Fonts import code. For this project, I'm using the Schibsted Grootsk font. Don't worry, I'll include the Google Fonts link in the description of this video so you can easily access it. After importing the font, I added the standard CSS boilerplate. I set margin and padding to 0 to remove any default spacing. Then, I applied box sizing, border box to make sure padding and borders are included within the element's total width and height. I also pasted the 4 lines of font-related CSS provided by the Google Fonts website. And finally, I set the base text color to #707070 to give the page a soft, neutral tone. After that, I added styles to the HTML and body elements. I set the width to 100% to make sure the layout spans the full width of the browser window, and applied min height 100 VH so that the page always takes up at least the full height of the viewport. Next, let's add styles to the page 1 div. I set its width to 100% so it stretches across the full screen, and its height to 300 VH. This gives us a tall scrolling area, 3 times the height of the visible viewport. After that, let's style the page 2 div. I set its background color to white to create a clean transition from the previous section. Then, I added a top border of 2 pixels solid blue to give it a distinct separation and visual contrast from the page 1 section. Now, open the browser and you'll notice that our website currently looks quite messy. The text content inside the .page 1 section is overflowing and spilling into the page 2 div. Don't worry, we'll fix all of these layout issues step by step. But before we do that, let's go back to our HTML file and temporarily comment out the video tag to make styling and positioning a bit easier. Next, let's add height 100 VH to the page 2 div. This makes sure that the second section of our website takes up exactly 1 full screen height, giving it a clean and balanced layout as we scroll from the first section. Now, go ahead and uncomment the video tag in the HTML file. With that back in place, let's switch over to the CSS file so we can start adding more styles and properly position everything on the page. Let's start by styling the container div. I set its width to 100% and height to 100 VH so it covers the full screen. Then, I applied display flex to lay out its child elements, the left and right sections, side by side using flexbox. Next, let's style both the left and right sections. Let's set their position to relative, so we can absolutely position elements inside them later if needed. Then, let's set the width to 50% so each section takes up half of the container. And finally, let's set the height to 100% to make them stretch the full height of the container. As you can see, the left and right sections are now styled properly within the container div. Next, let's style the BG video and BG image divs inside the left section. Let's set their position to fixed and top to 0 so they stay in place while scrolling. Then, set the height to 100% and the width to 42% to control how much space they take on the screen. Finally, set the z-index to 2 so they appear above other background elements if needed. After that, let's style the video and image tags inside the left section. Let's set the width to 100% and the height to 100% so they fully cover their parent containers. Then, apply ObjectFit cover to ensure the media scales nicely and fills the space without getting stretched or distorted. Now, open the browser and you'll see that our web page is starting to look much better. The left and right sections are now completely separated. Next, let's uncomment the image tag that we previously commented out. Now, open the browser and you'll notice that the wireframe image appears in the same position as the video. That's because both the video and the image have the same dimensions and styling. To understand this better, open the Inspect window in your browser, select the BG video div, and temporarily add display none. You'll see that the video disappears, but the wireframe image stays exactly in place, confirming they're overlapping due to their shared layout properties. After that, let's add a new style to the BG video div. Set the clip path property to inset 0000. This defines a clipping region that initially shows the entire video. Later on, we'll animate this value. Next, let's style the BG image div. Set its opacity to 0 so it's hidden by default. Then, set its z-index to 1 to place it just below the video. This setup will allow us to smoothly reveal the wireframe image later using animation or interaction. Next, let's style the nav tag. Set its position to fixed, with top and left both set to 0, so it stays pinned at the top of the page. Then, set the width to 100% and the height to 4 rem to define its size. Add padding of 1.5 rem on both sides for spacing. Use display, flex to lay out its children, and apply justify content, space between to push items to the left and right. Set align items, center to vertically center the content, and finally, apply a z-index of 5 to make sure the navigation stays on top of other elements. After that, let's style the logo div. Set its display to flex to arrange its child elements in a row. Then, use align items, center to vertically center everything inside, and add a gap of 0.4 rem to create a small space between the image and the text. Next, let's style the image tag inside the logo div. Set its width to 3 rem to keep the logo image nicely sized. Then, select the H3 tag inside the same logo div and set its font size to 1.6 rem. Also, change the text color to #535239 to match the overall theme. Now, open the browser and you'll see that the navigation bar is styled properly. The logo and text are neatly aligned, and the layout looks clean and balanced at the top of the page. Next, let's style the anchor tags. Set text decoration to none to remove the underlines, and change the text color to #5E52E9 to match the design. Also, go back to the H3 tag inside the logo and update its color to the same #5E52E9 for visual consistency across the navigation bar. Now, let's style the navigation div. Set its width to 70% so it doesn't stretch across the entire navbar. Then, apply display, flex to arrange the content in a row, use align items, center to vertically center everything, and set justify content, space between to spread the links and button evenly. Lastly, set the font size to 1 rem for a clean and readable appearance. Now, open the browser and you'll see that the links and the button inside the navigation div are styled properly. Next, let's style the anchor tags inside the links div. Set padding left to 3 rem to create even spacing between each navigation link, making the layout feel more open and balanced. After that, let's style the button inside the navigation div. Set the padding to 0.75 rem top and bottom, and 1 rem left and right to give it a comfortable size. Set the width to 10 rem, font size to 1 rem, and font weight to 300 for a light, modern look. Add a border radius of 25 pixels to give it rounded edges, remove the border by setting it to none, and apply a background color of #EBEBEB. Finally, set the cursor to pointer so it changes on hover, indicating it's clickable. Now, open the browser and you'll see that the button is styled properly, and the navigation bar is fully ready. However, you might notice that the content is overlapping with the navigation. To fix this, we need to add some padding to the top of the right section so everything sits neatly below the navbar. Now, let's style the right section. Set the padding to 6 rem 2 rem 02 rem. This adds space at the top to prevent overlap with the navigation, and adds horizontal padding on both sides for a clean and breathable layout. Next, let's style the hide div. Set its overflow to hidden. This will help us later when we animate the text inside. It ensures that any overflowing content stays clipped within the div. Next, let's style the H1 tag. Set its position to relative, so we can position elements inside or around it later if needed. Then, set the font size to 3 rem for a bold, eye-catching look, font weight to 400 for a medium thickness, and line height to 3 rem to keep the spacing tight and balanced. Next, let's style the P tag inside the right div. Set the top margin to 2 rem to create space between it and the heading. Then, set the width to 80% so the paragraph doesn't stretch across the entire screen, making it easier to read and more visually balanced. Next, let's style the box 1 div by setting its top margin to 2 rem. This creates some spacing above the content section. Then, target the content div inside it. Set its width to 70% to keep the layout clean and centered, add padding of 2 rem on the top and bottom for breathing space, and finally, set a bottom border of 1 pixel solid #707070 to visually separate each content block. Now, open the browser and you'll see that our content box is styled properly. The spacing looks clean, the text is well contained, and the bottom border adds a nice visual separation between each section. After that, let's style the H4 tag. Set the font size to 1.4 rem and font weight to 200 for a sleek, lightweight heading. Then, style the paragraph tag below it, set the top margin to 0 to keep it close to the heading, set the font size to 0.8 rem, and reduce the font weight to 100 for a clean and minimal look. Finally, set the width to 60% so the paragraph doesn't stretch too wide, keeping it easy to read. Now, open the browser and you'll see that the H4 and paragraph tags inside the content div are styled properly, with clean spacing and a modern, readable appearance. Next, let's move on and style the H2 tag to match the overall design of the page. Now, let's style the H2 tag. Set its top margin to 6 rem to give it breathing space from the content above. Then, set the font size to 2.7 rem and the font weight to 400 for a strong but balanced heading. After that, style the H5 tag, give it a top margin of 3 rem, set the font size to 1.2 rem, and reduce the font weight to 200 for a lighter, more subtle subheading. Next, let's style the button with the ID about. Set the padding to 1 rem for a comfortable size, and the width to 10 rem so it's easily clickable. Increase the font size to 1.1 rem for better readability, and give it a 30 pixel border radius to make the edges fully rounded. Remove the border by setting it to none, and add a top margin of 3 rem to create space from the content above. Set the background color to #594CE9, and make the text color white so it stands out. Finally, add cursor, pointer to indicate that it's clickable. Now, open the browser and you'll see that the button with the ID about is styled properly. It blends well with the overall design, and all the elements on our website are now fully styled. With that, we've completed the entire styling process for this project. For the next part, we're going to add some animation using JavaScript and GSAP. When the page 1 section ends, we want the left side image to become position absolute, so it scrolls upward with the page. At the same time, as the user scrolls, we'll transition the left side video into a wireframe image. Let's implement both of these effects using our JavaScript and GSAP code. First, let's create a variable named bgimage. To do that, write const bgimage equals document.querySelector.bgimage. This line selects the element with the class bgimage and stores it in our variable, so we can easily manipulate it later. Next, create another variable named bgvideo. Write const bgvideo equals document.querySelector.bgvideo. This will select the element with the class bgvideo and store it in the bgvideo variable, allowing us to control the video section through our animation logic. First, here's what we want to achieve. As we start scrolling the page just a little, we want the navigation bar and the website name to smoothly hide with a slight animation. After that, let's create an event listener to get the scroll value. Write window.addEventListener, and pass in scroll as the event type. Then, create a function inside it. Within that function, create a variable named scrollValue, and set its value to window.scrollY. Next, write console.log, and pass scrollValue inside it. Then, open the browser and go to the Inspect window. From there, switch to the Console tab. Now, scroll the website, you'll see the scroll event value being logged in the Console tab. We are going to use this value to create our animation. For the navigation animation, we will use a small scroll value like 10. After that, write an if condition and inside it write scroll value greater than or equal to 10. Inside this if block, write bgimage.style.opacity equals 1. So, when the user scrolls the website just a little, the bg image, which we previously set to opacity 0, will now be set to 1. Now, open the browser and go to the Inspect window. Then, select the bg image element, and scroll the website a little bit. You'll see that the opacity of the image becomes 1, just like we intended. Next, inside the if statement, write GSAP.to to create an animation. Inside the double quotes, pass in the selector .linksA #logo h3. This targets all the anchor tags inside the links div, as well as the website name inside the logo. Then, set the properties, set opacity to 0 to fade them out, duration to 0.4 seconds for a quick animation, Y to 30 to move them slightly downward while disappearing, and stagger to 0.1 so each element hides one after another with a slight delay. This creates a smooth and clean animation effect when the user scrolls down a little. Open the browser and you'll see that when we scroll the website just a little, the heading text and navigation smoothly move downward with a fading effect. However, the stagger effect we added to the navigation links using stagger 0.1 doesn't seem to be working as expected. That's likely because the anchor tags are inline elements by default. So, let's go back to the CSS file, search for the styles applied to the anchor tags, and inside that block, add display inline block. This change will allow GSAP to apply the stagger animation properly. Now again, open the browser and scroll the website a little bit. You'll see that the navigation links now animate one by one, showing a smooth and amazing fading effect. The stagger property is now working perfectly, thanks to the CSS update we made. Next, let's add a scroll animation for when the user scrolls back to the very top of the page. To do that, write an if condition and inside it, check if scroll value equals 0. Then, copy the previous GSAP.to code we used for hiding the navigation, but this time, update the properties, set opacity to 1 and Y to 0. This will make the navigation links and the website name fade back in and return to their original position when the user scrolls back to the top. Now, open the browser and you'll see the effect in action. When we scroll down a little bit, the navigation elements fade out smoothly. And when we scroll back to the top, all the navigation links and the website name fade back in and return to their original position just as expected. After that, let's create another variable named TL and set its value to gsap.timeline. This allows us to create a sequence of animations. Then, write tl.from, and inside the double quotes, pass in the selector .hide_h1, Now, set the animation properties, Y to 100 to make the elements come up from below, duration to 0.5 seconds, delay to 0.5 seconds so it starts a bit later, and stagger to 0.3 to animate each element one after another with a slight delay. This creates a nice entrance animation for the heading and paragraph content. Next, continue the timeline by chaining another .from method. This time, target the content class. Inside the object, set opacity to 0 to make it fade in, Y to 50 so it slides up slightly as it appears, and stagger to 0.2 to animate each content block one after another with a smooth delay. This gives a clean, animated entrance to all the content sections. But the fading effect on the content div didn't show the animation. I think I miswrote something. Turns out, I misspelled the word opacity in the animation object. After correcting the spelling, the animation should work as expected. Now, as you can see, the animation for the content div is working perfectly. Along with that, the entire landing page animation is now complete and functioning smoothly. Next, let's create the scrolling animation to our website. Now, let's create another variable named TL1 and set its value to GSAP.timeline. Inside it, pass an object and add a property called scrollTrigger. For its value, create another object and set the following properties. Set trigger to .page1. This defines the section where the scroll animation starts. Then, set start to 38% 90% and end to 70% 90%, which defines the scroll range for the animation. Add markers, true if you want to visually debug the scroll area, and finally, set scrub, true to link the animation progress smoothly with the scroll position. Now, open the browser and you'll see that markers are added to our website. When the scroll reaches the start position, marked as scroll start, the animation will begin. And when the scroll passes the end position, marked as scroll end, our scroll animation will finish. These markers help us clearly see where the animation starts and ends during scrolling. Now again, open the browser and select the BG video element using the Inspect tool. Then, go to the CSS Styles section and find the clip path, inset 0000 line. Now, focus on the third value, currently set to 0. Change it to 0%, then slowly increase the value using the keyboard up arrow key. You'll see that the BG video div keeps shrinking from the bottom, and the wireframe image underneath starts to appear. We're going to use this exact concept to create our scroll-based animation. Next, write TL1.2 to define the scroll animation. Inside it, select the BG video div as the target. Then, create an object and set the clip path property to inset 100% 0. This means the video will gradually shrink from the bottom as we scroll, revealing the wireframe image behind it, just like we observed earlier using the Inspect tool. Open the browser and scroll the website. As you scroll, you'll see the left side BG video gradually shrinks from the bottom, and the wireframe image behind it becomes visible, creating an amazing and smooth scrolling animation effect. Next, remove the markers, true line from our scroll trigger configuration. This will clean up the visual markers from our website, keeping the scroll animation functional without showing the debug indicators. And lastly, we want to change the left side image's position from fixed to absolute once we finish scrolling past the page 1 section. This will create an amazing effect. The image stays fixed while scrolling within a certain range, and then smoothly sticks in place as the scroll continues. Next, refresh the page and start scrolling the website. As you scroll down, keep an eye on the scroll value in the console. You'll notice that when we reach the end of the page 1 div, the scroll value hits around 1420. We will use this value to create the position effect. Now, go back to the previous scroll event listener function and inside it, write another if statement. Set the condition to scroll value greater than or equal to 1420. Inside this block, write bgimage.classlist.add, update bgimage. So, when the scroll value reaches 1420 or more, this class will be added to the bgimage element. Then, add an else block and inside it, write the same line but change .add to .remove. This way, when the scroll value is less than 1420, the class will be removed, keeping the effect dynamic as we scroll up and down. Open the browser and head over to the Inspect window. Select the bgimage element. As you scroll down the page and reach the end of the page 1 div, you'll see that an additional class named UpdateBgImage is added to the bgimage element. And when you scroll back up slightly, this class is removed. We'll now add CSS styles to this class to create the position effect we want. Next, let's add some CSS styles to the UpdateBgImage class. Open the CSS file again and scroll down a little. Right after the styles for the left div end, create a new rule for .UpdateBgImage. Inside it, write position, absolute, important, left, 0, important, and top, 200 VH, important. These styles will ensure that the image becomes absolutely positioned and sticks at the bottom of the page 1 section, creating a clean and professional scroll effect. Now, open the browser and scroll down. You'll see that when we reach the end of the page 1 div, the left image switches to absolute positioning. However, the transition doesn't happen very smoothly, and visually something feels off. So, let's fix that. Open the Inspect window in a separate tab and select the BG image element. Then, look for the width property. Click on it and use the keyboard's up arrow key to gradually increase the value. You'll notice that when the width reaches around 84%, it looks perfect. So now, let's add this exact width value to our Update BG image selector in the CSS file. Now, open the browser and refresh the page. You'll see that all the scroll animations are working perfectly. And when we reach the end of the page 1 div, the left image smoothly shifts to absolute positioning and lifts upward, creating an amazing fixed scrolling effect within a defined range. The transition looks clean and visually impressive. If you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. Your support helps us create more exciting and valuable videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode of DevWave Diaries.